Now we're recording. So hi everyone. It's me, Carlos, here with my friend Octavius again, Smiley, and today we're gonna be talking about One Piece chapter 1014, and uh, the first item of discussion for today is what Kaido's phrase about Luffy's attempt to be the Joy Boy. And I'm gonna let Smiley start off with the discussion.
Okay, I appreciate that. And in my opinion, that has like Kaido's statement right there has deep implications about Kaido's personality and his goals in this story. And it's also potential that Kaido wants to be Joy Boy. And maybe that's the reason he is so fixated on starting this huge war that's going to engulf the world. Maybe he has some type of bad interpretation because he understands that a war is coming and Joy Boy is coming. So he feels a war will bring Joy Boy. So I think that's very interesting. And I think it's hilarious that he said Luffy is not going to be Joy Boy because we all know Luffy is Joy Boy. Like, that's how the story is going to end. It's not Momomosuke. It's definitely Luffy. Momomosuke has his place in the story, of course, but he's more so to open up Wano to support Luffy in his Joy Boy adventures.
Yeah,
How do you feel about it?
It seems Kaido doesn't know who the protagonist of the story is. Maybe Luffy will teach him once he gets to where Kaido is, which we're gonna talk about in a few minutes. But before I wanted to say that what interested me most about Kaido's statement is first of all that he knows about Joy Boy. I didn't think that is something that was readily like available knowledge for all the emperors. Um, Now that I think back upon some of Whitebeard's words, he once said, "You're not the man Roger was waiting for." So it does seem that being an emperor of the sea includes some knowledge about the history of the world. Uh, I was interested in what you said about him having a wrong interpretation of what Joy Boy is, because we don't know what Joy Boy is. We know it's some type of title, but we don't really know what the Joy Boy title is supposed to mean. It's one of the biggest mysteries on the story, and um, also Kaido tends to misinterpret certain things too. For example, we've known for a while now that he respects a lot of people who had great deaths, and I think Kaido has a some type of misconception about how death makes you become a greater person. When, at least in my opinion, in reality, he saw great men die, but they died greatly because they were already great men and because they led a great life. So to summarize, I think it's interesting how Kaido is framed as a villain or as an antagonist in this case, not necessarily a villain, because in a large part he does seem to have some just different viewpoints and maybe misinterpretations about certain things that clearly the Luffy and the people we follow in the story, at least we seem to have we agree more with their interpretation, their point of view. Uh, yeah.
Completely agree. Completely agree.
Which brings us to the next point. How is the protagonist of the story going to show Kaido that he's Joy Boy he's drowning right now?
Yeah, and so I have some strong opinions on that. I know there's people out there who believe Luffy is going to save himself. You may be one of those people. If that happens, I would be very disappointed. I'll be extremely disappointed to see Luffy just treading water or doing the breaststroke through the ocean. That'd just be a really, really huge break in the story. I'm more inclined to believe that the Sea Kings are gonna actually come save Luffy, and if not the Sea King, it's gonna be whatever voice Momo is hearing right now. I definitely don't think it's Zunisha for people who say that, but I'm betting on the Sea King.
Okay. So my I would change that to sea creature because we haven't seen sea kings on Wano. We haven't seen giant koi, which might be the sea king of Wano. You know, the analog for sea king in Wano. So that I think that's an interesting theory. It's an interesting theory if also if Momonosuke can talk to them. Um, uh, I I hesitate to say I don't. Of course, Luffy's not going to swim. I don't know since we're near the shores of Wano now. I don't know if that's supposed to make us think that he might just wash up on shore. Uh, but I don't know how that would work because in my mind that it would take a long time for him to wash up on shore and get back to Onigashima. I've seen people discuss that some of Law's crew might still be in the submarine and can find them, or that the big mom pirates can find them. Maybe I don't know how those would come into play. So for now, I don't have a good answer to how Luffy's gonna come back.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I completely forgot that the Big Mom pirates are still out there. I don't think they're gonna save Luffy, but the fact that they're still out there just adds a huge unknown into the whole Wano saga.
Yeah, yeah. It's starting to look back for. It's getting worse and worse for the Alliance, and the Big Mom pirates would make it a whole lot of worse.
Impossible.
Yeah.
Possible way.
And you know, I think now's a good time as any to discuss the ongoing battles on Onigashima. And most people were survived or surprised today looking at Chopper fight against Queen and Prospero by himself. So what did you think about that?
I think Oda is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because when Marco tied up Queen and Chopper came and smacked the hell out of him, I really thought Chopper had a chance of winning. Maybe it might be high difficult or whatever, but with that sneak shot, I thought it was definitely going to happen. But now we're just seeing how overwhelming a force Haki is, and that combined with Queen's devil fruit, and Perosperos shooting arrows into his back. I think Chopper's gonna take an L on this one and have to be saved by somebody.
Yeah, I can see this going in two ways. One is that just Sanji arrives. I've had in my head canon is that Sanji and Queen are gonna fight each other for the longest time now, especially since he knew Queen seems to know something about Sanji's family, and since they're both kind of scientists or have science gear on them, and they're the second strongest in a the third strongest in a Yonko crew, more or less. So I personally think that's a big option. The second option is that Caesar dropped the bomb or dropped a bomb that's or a hint saying that the whatever happens to Chopper after the 30 minutes might have some repercussions that we don't know about, which I took as meaning that Chopper could get really unstable with its devil fruit power. And I don't know if we'll see like a crazier version of Monster Point. But I think that's something that it's harder, or I don't say harder, but more least likely. Sorry. Yeah, I see it as most likely being Sanji stepping up and helping Chopper, and I don't know, maybe Marco will come into play. We don't know much about him or what he's being up to in the past few chapters.
Yeah, Marco definitely looks like he's just chilling, trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
So I definitely can relate to that.
Yeah.
So are you disappointed with the Who's Who Jinbei fight? Because we still haven't seen much going on.
I mean, I'm not disappointed because we haven't seen it yet. The fact that we haven't seen Jinbei's and Who's Who's fights, which I am pretty excited. I'm looking forward to it. I really like Jinbei. Who's Who seems like a competent Tobiroko. So looking forward. I've been looking forward to the fight, and the fact that we haven't seen much of it, and we haven't seen much of Robinson Black Maria's fight, which will probably end up being more interesting than I initially thought it would be. Um, it makes me think that we still, now there's going to be a period of time before Luffy gets back to fighting Kaido, and in that period of time we'll get to see more of the crewmates having to handle the situation on the Onigashima. I just don't know who's going to handle Kaido.
Luffy.
Yeah, yeah, but Luffy needs to hurry up a little bit.
But let's move on to Kiku, because that was very disappointing. You're supposed to be a samurai. You're supposed to be able to starve yourself out of this straight pride and still be a competent fighter. You know Odin's fake. You say you want to fight Kandro, and then you go and you do some embarrassing stuff like get stabbed in the heart because you get hurt a face that you love. That puts Kiku on Sanji's level.
I would say it is disappointing. It is disappointing. Kiku screwed up twice. Kiku has a nice personality and a likable scabbard, but 2 screw ups in a row. I mean, I can't put any trust in Kiku to get the job done anymore. I will say that I thought, even though I didn't really like much what happened with Kiku, I thought Kinemon actually stepped up to the plate, and I mean, that panel with him slashing Kangaroo was a really good panel. I stared at it for a while. Of course, he stepped up to the plate and then got Ragnarok by Kaido. So we'll see what happens with him. We'll see what happens with Kanjuro, Kiku, Ashura, whether they're dead, whether they're alive. My opinion is that Kiku and Kanjuro have a greater likelihood of being dead. I don't know about Kinemon. I feel like Kinemon still needs to wait for Luffy to get back if he's gonna die, just so he can basically die in peace, knowing that there's still hope for Wano. So I don't see Kinemon dying yet. Oda might surprise me, but I don't see Kinemon dying yet. I think Kiku and Kanjuro might eventually die if they're not dead already. They might last a little while longer.
Yeah, but the fact that Kaido is just going directly after Momonosuke on his own personally, that just shows that now that Luffy's out of the picture, quote unquote, Kaido is just really, really interested in ending this war now.
Yeah.
Just ending it now. But let's see what else we have to talk about.
Oh, the only thing that we're missing to discuss, I think we're mostly discussing most of the more interesting parts of this chapter, is that who the hell is Momonosuke talking to? You mentioned it could be Sea Kings. I have a wild idea that it might be people from different points in time. For example, he might be talking to people from the future or something like that. And the reason I think that is because he read part of the diary or during Odin's journal, and then he started hearing whatever voice he was hearing. But that might just be an error of correlation and not having to do with the fact that he is conscious of something now new, and that's what allows him to hear something different. And of course, we can't forget the fact that he literally said, "Oh, it does seem that I can't die." So there does seem to be some implications from the future for Momonosuke, and they seem to be related, at least in my headcanon. They seem to be related to his ability of hearing things.
Okay. Well, we're running low on time, so let's call it a week. This is a great chapter. I expect the next one to be a great chapter, and we'll be right back here next week.
Yeah. See you next week. And I final concluding remarks. I love the chapter, so excited to talk more.